Do you know what I hate, mate? It's when like gaming channels, like video game channels, are supposed to be talking about gaming, and they're all talking about Game of Thrones, man.
The Tuesday Game of Thrones roundup, the Monday Game of Thrones roundup. Ooh.
What are you doing, like? Stick to the subject, innit?
A few moments later.
Game of Thrones is one of the most popular shows on TV right now. So it's no surprise that fans are clamouring for a video game based on the medieval fantasy series. You know, like a good video game. Imagine then how excited people were when they found out that Bethesda, the king of open world first-person RPGs, might be making a game of Game of Thrones.
Over the weekend, eagle-eyed fans of George R.R. Martin's fantasy epic spotted an interesting listing on the website of American retailer Target. The listing was for a Game of Thrones video game adaptation made by none other than Bethesda. Back in 2011, Bethesda director Todd Howard told Electronic Gaming Monthly that they were previously in talks to adapt Game of Thrones into a video game, but they turned down the offer after deciding they would rather do their own thing than adapt someone else's work. But the rumours didn't stop there, and a Game of Thrones game has been rumoured for a while, with another one surfacing at E3 2017.
The E3 rumour was that The Elder Scrolls 6 had been postponed in favour of a Game of Thrones title, which was supposedly in development at the time. Bethesda making an open world Game of Thrones RPG in the same vein as Skyrim would have been a huge success, surely, critically and commercially. The keywords there though were would have been, because the rumour turned out to be false and the listing was actually a hoax. Target's listing didn't feature many details apart from a placeholder title which simply said Bethesda-Game of Thrones, and it didn't feature any box art, platform information or an estimated release date. A Target spokesperson has since cleared up the situation by flat out denying it, saying this is not a real product, we're sorry for any confusion. This is a real heartbreaker for a lot of people who got so excited, right Jake, you know, tweeting about it and whatever. But seriously, like, you know, people would really be on board with this, I reckon. You know, Bethesda, you know, whatever we think in the kind of hardcore gaming community, a lot of people really like Bethesda games. They've got this kind of mainstream appeal when it comes to selling games on the scale of, like, people who only buy COD and FIFA, you know, those kind of players. Yeah. That might be interested in Skyrim. If those guys were making Game of Thrones into a video game, you know, there would be huge interest in that.
Yeah,
it seems like a no-brainer.
It does, yeah. I mean, I can kind of see why they didn't do it. I mean, they were asked, do you want to make this rendition of a series with dragons and kind of racist Northmen and undead Northmen that are kind of blue in the face and giant guilds and houses that are at war against each other and picking sides? And they're like, well, we're already doing that with Skyrim.
We've already done that.
So, you know, I mean, if you think about Skyrim and Game of Thrones, there's a lot of similarities.
There's a lot of crossover.
So if they did one, people would be like, this is just Skyrim, but with Game... You know, I'm sure it can be modded, basically, is what I'm saying. And we know Bethesda love mods. Is it really what everyone wants? I'm like, yeah. Then I think... But if they just did it now, it'd just kind of be like Skyrim, but with the wall.
There's something about this news as well, that the fact that it was cleared up so quickly by Target by just saying, no, this isn't happening. Obviously, you know, season 7 of Game of Thrones has just happened. The series is at its absolute zenith of popularity, and everyone's talking about it and watching it. You go on IGN, and there's about 7 articles on it the day after the show's come out, clearing up all different plot details and stuff. It's just an entertainment juggernaut. Is a phenomenon. Yeah. The fact that there could be a game, a decent game, because let's not forget, there's already Game of Thrones Telltale, there's a Game of Thrones action RPG, which was shite, and there's a Game of Thrones strategy game, which again was shite. Those exist, but they just didn't quite do it well enough.
And if you were going to announce it, it would be right after season 7, wouldn't it? It would be right now. In fact, they've done the opposite. They've said, hey, it's not even real.
So with the listing being a fake, how did it actually get onto Target's website in the first place? Well, it's actually quite easy to make fake listings on Target simply by changing the values in the web page's URL. Bethesda games are no stranger to hoaxes though, and back in 2013, Fallout 4 was teased with its own fake website. Someone made the fake teaser site an alternate reality game for Fallout 4 called The Survivor 2299.
The Survivor 2299 site had a countdown timer, and it teased Fallout 4 being set somewhere in Boston, but Bethesda denied the site was connected to them, and at the time, Fallout 4 was still unannounced. When the countdown timer hit 0, it revealed a video of the tunnel snakes from Fallout 3 and a message which read, "Special thanks to r/Fallout, the most amazing community on Reddit." The fake alternate reality game creator confessed the site was a fake, and when asked why he did did it, he said he was trying to force Bethesda to unveil something Fallout related. So maybe the fake Game of Thrones listing was trying to do the same thing. But lately Bethesda have been keeping tight-lipped about their upcoming games until they are ready. Maybe they are working on a Game of Thrones, or maybe they're not. But in all honesty, it doesn't look like a Game of Thrones game is on the cards right now. So that's that then. It looks like you can just change some little numbers in the URL and make it say whatever you want. So each product has got a little value like 3H or 5D. So you could edit that yourself right now. You can do it right now, and it'll be like Jack Daniel's Game of Thrones edition, Monopoly Jack Daniel's edition, and the list goes on. It was just a case of that. It was just a manipulation of the URL made by some dickhead trying to force Bethesda to make some information or whatever they're saying.
You know, it wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility that Bethesda would make a Game of Thrones game, and I sure would like to see that happen. I'd love to see them try and tackle that. But as far as we know at the moment, it's not happening. It doesn't exist until they are good and ready to announce it. Which usually, going by Bethesda's track record, they do keep it quite late, which is good. I think they wait till the game is pretty much there until they start showing it off, and then give it 6 months or so before it releases.
It's not
which is
a Death Stranding situation, is it? Where we're going to be like telling our grandchildren about it and stuff like that. But the thing with Bethesda, at E3 this year, they did say that they are making 2 games. I think Todd Howard's team specifically, and one is based on something existing. So I don't know if that's another Elder Scrolls game they're hinting at, or it could be another property of someone else. So say Game of Thrones or something like that. Not a completely new IP. Whatever that meant, something like that. That's what caused half of the speculation anyway. People were connecting the dots where they shouldn't have been, like me on Twitter, and then just looking like a dickhead at the end of it. So if you also look like a dickhead, now you know why. This is it. Mystery solved. Myth busted. Liam, can you do the... Can we do that?
Okay, so the game of Game of Thrones doesn't actually exist. It was a hoax. Were you excited about this? Were you disappointed to hear that? What kind of thing were you expecting? Let us know down in the comments. Remember to like the video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this every day. There's another video right there which you can watch right now, and a link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. See you next time.